Welcome to RGB Filter. This time round we're talking about all the stuff that's happened at GDC 2010, which is a game developers conference. Where did that take place this year?
It's in the San Francisco. Traditionally, GDC was more of an industry insiders kind of event where they will talk about, game development. Over the years, there have been some game announcements that have happened there, which is a new thing.
Right.
And so you get some announcements at GDC, and then you get the rest of them at E3. And often the announcements are very much geared towards other developers.
That's right.
So one of the big announcements was the Steam for Mac,
Yeah.
which is letting developers know that, hey, we're able to run the Mac now.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it, right?
Well, do you want to talk about that first, or?
Yeah, we'll get into that. I mean, it's interesting. The week before the GDC, there was a mysterious update that happened to Portal.
That's right.
Which is one of the games from a few years ago that Valve released.
Yeah, it was a lot of people voted it Game of the Year 2007. Was it?
I think it was before then.
I think it's 2000. I could be wrong, but I think it was 2007.
So if you haven't played Portal, definitely highly recommended. One of the most unique games to come out on any system over the past couple of years. And what they did was they added these radios that you could find at the beginning of the level. And it was very mysterious. I mean, what do you do with these things? And apparently if you picked up the radio, took it to the end of the level, it would play this mysterious audio file.
Yeah.
Which, within half a day, people had already figured a way to rip out the audio file from the files of the game.
Yeah, they would just go into their file browser on their computer and grab the
Well,
files,
you have to extract it because
because it's in the, what do they call it? It used to be called a WAD.
Yeah,
all the graphics
like
files. Yeah.
So those audio files, some of them are Morse code, which translated into cryptic messages, hinting at a new Portal. Some of them actually were what they called SSTV.
Yeah, slow scan television,
which is an ancient technology.
Yeah,
that was used to transmit, like for example, images of the moon before the first moon mission or something to Earth.
Yeah,
and they were still images that were of inside security cameras. At the Portal facilities, which is Aperture Science.
Yeah, that's right.
And then in those images was another code.
Yeah, each of the images had numbers displayed somewhere within them. And then when you put all those numbers together...
It was an encrypted code for a phone number to a BBS, which, if you haven't been on the internet, or if you're not as old as us, a BBS was a bulletin board system, which was, pre-internet days, a way of dialing up to another computer and going onto message boards.
Yeah, I'm sure most people, even if they're not familiar with BBSs, they're familiar with that annoying buzzing sound in the old days of logging in. It's still, heck, I think they used it in the Matrix even. I think they still had that BBS kind of sound, yeah.
So on the BBS, there was more images, which were ASCII art images that showed very lo-fi images from Portal 2. Yeah. And there was some cryptic text.
Yeah, there's some text messages too from the founder
of Aperture Science, the fictional company that ran the Portal facility. Yeah. And it's interesting that the reason why I'm talking about this is this is a very unique way of getting a message out there.
Yeah, because
it was done in the game. It wasn't a website. It wasn't Flash. It wasn't a video on YouTube.
Yeah, it wasn't a separate, a lot of this kind of marketing is called ARGs, or alternate reality games,
or viral marketing,
and it's the kind of thing that there's fake websites. Another big game that did it was the Halo I Love Bees website, but this was all, like you're saying, in game.
In the game, which was and I think that they originally hoped that maybe people would actually have gone to the trouble of picking up the radios, going to the end of each level, and then somehow recording the audio and figuring it out. But obviously it didn't take the fans more than a day to go into the game's files, whether they thought they would actually be able to crack it that quickly. Because, I mean, looking at the sort of...
the timeline? Yeah.
Timeline was a day later, people had already figured out the secret.
What do we have? Right? We looked it up. You got the actual time. So on March 1st, the Portal update came out. On March 2nd, the fans started figuring out the codes.
And it wasn't to figure out that there was SST TV signals encoded in the audio file. I mean, I don't even know how do they even figure that out?
I don't know. Like, unless they can actually look at the audio
There's
files.
people with a lot of time on their hands.
Well, actually, it doesn't necessarily take a lot of time because I'm going to go off on a quick tangent about the Mac, which actually will tie into what we're going to go into next anyways, is that sometimes working with Mac people, when I get files from them, Apple had a tendency to put extra data in their headers. So when I would get a file from somebody using a Mac and they didn't say whether it was an EPS or a Photoshop or whatever type of image to work on, right, I would just open it up in a text viewer and look at the header. And then I would put the extension on it and it would work. So it's entirely possible, I don't know if this is true, but if SSTV codes have, or files have specific codes to look for, you could just open it up in a text editor and then you go, oh, this is interesting, what does this mean? And somebody Googled it and found it. So maybe it wasn't as difficult. It just took somebody to look in the right spot. So
yeah, it was very cryptic, yet, I guess Portal fans are smart people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then on March the 3rd, there was some images leaked, which were basically riffs on the Apple commercials. Yeah,
using Valve characters, Valve's intellectual property. Okay. Yeah.
So there was like one of the Heavy from Team Fortress 2 in a pose like the iPod commercials and stuff.
Yeah, Ryan posted those images on our website. Actually, you can find them in a gallery there.
And that interests me because that obviously points to the fact of the next topic we'll talk about, which is Macintosh compatibility for Valve games.
Yeah.
But back to Portal 2, at the same time we released those leaked images about the Mac thing, they actually, Game Informer, which is one of the few print publications still on the shelf
for gaming,
released their cover for the next month issue, and yes, it was Portal 2.
Yeah.
So the cat was out of the bag. And then, the news came pretty soon afterwards, and the game's going to be coming out at Christmas. It's going to be, for now, they initially announced PC and Xbox 360, which is the same as Portal 1. The story is going to take place in the future.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds like that means it's going to take place in the same timeline as the Half-Life 2, which obviously means that the tie-in, which was hinted in the first game between Half-Life and Portal, will be...
Yeah, because Black Mesa from Half-Life is a competing...
Of Aperture Science.
Yeah, of Aperture Science, which is the testing facility that the original Portal takes off.
And there's going to be co-op play?
Yep.
We don't know who you get to play in the game. I know in co-op, for some reason, you don't play human characters, you play robots or AIs.
Yeah.
Though in the single player, we're not sure.
Right.
Valve has said this is going to be the best game they've ever made. Well, yet they haven't talked about Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
Yeah, I know. It'd be nice if they got around to that.
Well, I think this is somehow all interconnected.
I was thinking the same thing.
There's some master plan we're not privy to right
now.
Yeah,
exactly. Like I've been thinking that too, that something's going to tie it all together. Right?
So, look out for Portal 2. It's going to be a really cool game. If you haven't played the first, for sure I would highly recommend either downloading it through Steam or... speaking of Mac users, you'll be able to download it on your Mac in April, which is very soon. And if you have a 360, I'm sure you could pick up a copy of the Orange Box, which was the combination that came with Portal, Team Fortress 2, and Half-Life 2 for
and the
360.
2 episodes,
and it's probably pretty cheap now.
Yeah,
right?
it's probably $20 or less.
So that's definitely recommended.
Yeah.
So the other announcement, which ties into this, is Steam coming to the Mac.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.